And feel that contrast that John is making that's just as fresh today as the day that he wrote it. He's saying, yeah, the world is cold. Yeah, the world is going to reject you. It's going to push out the unwanted, the sick, the deformed. But in stark contrast to all of that, God, our Heavenly Father, He would never do that to us. He assumes our pain and He meets us exactly where we are. So what's the connection here for you and I? Is that you and Jesus have matching scars. That He takes on our brokenness, our disfigurement, our shame, all the stuff that sin heaps onto us. And He says, if they're going to look at you, they're going to look at me too. Because guess what? In my books, you're just fine. You're accepted and you're not rejected. So for those of us who are here this morning, who feel rejected and abandoned, you need to hear this, that you are loved and accepted and celebrated by Jesus. For those of you who are here this morning who feel like monsters, maybe because of something that you have done or something that's happened to you, you need to hear this clearly. Jesus says, come. Let me carry that for you. Or for those of you who are here this morning who feel alone and lost, you need to hear this, that Jesus is already on His way back to come and find you. So with a great force, John is saying to you and I this morning that we are an extension of our Heavenly Father. So act like it, live like it, because sin is in opposition to His mission, to His kingdom, to His word, to what He is doing here. Sin, if we take it on, it distorts us, it disfigures us, it confuses us, it infects everything that it touches. So John says, you, me, God's kids, learn the language of God's love. But not only that, be a faithful interpreter of God and His mission and His kingdom. Simply put, He's saying, take the very worst that life has brought you, the worst thing that's happened to you, and translate that into something good. Turn sin's poisonous conversation into the new language of God's coming kingdom. Think of it like this. If life binds you with suffering, translate that into self-control. If life slams you with injustice, don't pay that forward. Translate it into mercy and respect. If you're being followed around by sorrow and shame, don't transmit that pain. Don't spray it out everywhere. Translate that into joy and praise. You, my brothers and sisters, we are walking translation machines, otherwise known as children of God. So what John is saying to you and I this morning is this: the failure to love breaks everything. And for the Christian, it not only perpetuates sin, but it gives God and His kingdom and His word and His mission a bad name. Because sometimes we can live in a way as if to say that none of this is true, that none of this is real. All this Jesus stuff is just a fairy tale. And funny enough, this is one of the very things that John is facing into with these letters. He's writing to Christians and former Christians who are going about saying, by their actions and by their words, that none of this Jesus stuff is true. All of it is one big fat lie. So if we bring that up to speed, up to modern times for you and I today, there's a couple of questions that this part of our message here this morning push into us. Questions like this: are you translating or are you transmitting sin? All the terrible stuff that comes your way, the hate, the anger, the pain, whether it's from your past or whether it's coming in the future, what are you doing with that? Are you allowing it to sink roots deep inside of you? Are you allowing it to grow and expand? Are you then taking it out on others and spraying it forward? Or are you taking that sin, that brokenness, the lack of love that was shown to you, and are you translating it into something good? Have you learned the new language for God's new world? And if that doesn't hit the spot for you, maybe it's this. Are you in a repeating situation with a person where your failure to love is distorting how they may see God, their perception of God, his fatherhood, his matching scars? And how many times have you and I been caught in that same blaming self-talk? I suck. I hate myself. I can't believe I've done that again. I am terrible. I am a nasty person. I am worthless. Man, this has got to be the last straw between me and God. There's no way that he can love me now. And maybe like this dog, our very next instinct is to turn away and try to hide from God. But it's in this last passage that John says, when you feel that way, when you have that instinct to run and hide, don't. Calm your heart, he says, because God knows you. God knows what you feel when you face into your own brokenness and you have that instinct to run and hide. I know you want to do that, he says, but don't. Do the opposite, actually. Turn to God. And trust that your Heavenly Father will not abandon you, that he won't shun you, that he won't reject you. Trust that your Heavenly Father knows you better than you know yourself. Trust that your Heavenly Father loves you even in your weakness. Trust that your Heavenly Father overrules your sin and pardons you. And then he says, come rest in me. Because if we were honest with ourselves, where is it that we could actually go to run and hide and be away from God? The answer is nowhere. It's impossible.